All right, Kitchen Table War Gamers, welcome back. Here is going to be a little brief tour of BattleScribe. Excuse me, this is going to look similar for any mobile device. If you're using a desktop computer, laptop, any kind of PC, the layout's different. But if you're a decent person with technology or decently skilled with technology, you can figure out the desktop version of it pretty easily after seeing how this works. So when you download and install BattleScribe, it'll be lovely looking. You'll have a nice little icon that says BattleScribe, easy to find, easy to use as far as downloading and installing. But the first time you open it up, all of this will be blank. It will prompt you to select the data sources or the repositories that you're going to choose from. And this system, BattleScribe, has tons to choose from. You'll need to make sure that you select Warhammer 40,000 version 9, whatever the most recent version is. You'll be able to tell. As long as it's talking about 9th edition there, then you're good to go. It'll update itself automatically, by the way. So as they produce updates, it'll be updated for you. Kill Team, Age of Sigmar, all those things are available here. And you can force an update or force it to check for an update there as well. And the little plus sign in the corner, you can look for more games, more game systems, anything you want to use with BattleScribe. And I guess I should mention too, as we're getting started with this video, BattleScribe is created by a community. So it's not a paid for program. And so there are errors with it. But there's also errors with the Games Workshop app that does the same job, and it's paid for and created by Games Workshop. So any of these devices are going to have little glitches here and there. You'll have to make sure you double check, and just because your app says something is the case, and if a person's trying to argue that it's not right, go back to the book, check the codex. That's always a safe bet with that. So we'll go back to here. It's gonna make sure that I didn't change any settings, get rosters, etc. You can sync this with your Dropbox to be able to keep all of your different data sheets in one place. So a friend of mine and I were trying to share an army list that we were working on. So we synced our Dropboxes and we've never been able to unsync them. But as far as we can tell, that's just a glitch on our particular iPad. So don't worry about all that. But that's why there's so many. I'm going to start by building a new roster. I'm going to hit the plus sign. It is going to ask me, what game system do I want to use? Well, this is a Warhammer 40k video. So we'll select Warhammer 40k 9th edition. Now it's going to ask me to choose my army. So again, it's pretty intuitive. You're going to scroll till you find what you want. All the different armies and factions are here. Imperium Grey Knights, because this little series is going to be about, I don't know if I actually picked Grey Knights. Let me go back and double check. This series is about building a set. There, I know I did that time. 500 point list for Grey Knights. So it's a combat patrol, so we're going to be using a patrol detachment. So we select that. This shows you the command point costs for the different types of detachments. Patrol is nice, we'll keep it simple, but you can see all these different options that are here. There are more than just 3 main types of detachments, and I've covered those in a different video. So here's a patrol detachment. Now on this app, if we want to change the name, you click up here at the top or tap on it to go to your details. And then we'll have the roster. I'm going to change this to 500 point Grey Knights Patrol. Sorry that you couldn't see all the typing. I'm sure that was exciting. And that's it. So I don't need to change anything else. CP cost, point cost, all that stuff. You don't have to play with that at this point. It'll kind of build it on its own. So I'm going to hit the check mark. So I'm good to go. It's going to create a roster. So what it's doing now is it's pulling information from Grey Knights. And the rules about the Grey Knights have all been updated. As far as I can tell after looking through them, I think they're correct. But yeah, we'll find out. Important things to see. This exclamation point, red, means that there's an error with my list. If I click on it, tap on it, sorry, it's going to tell me the errors. I don't have an HQ choice. I don't have a Warlord. I haven't told it what battle size I'm playing. And I don't have any troop choices. We know these things because I haven't entered anything into the list yet. But when you think you've built the list, double check that, see if the little icon's popping up to tell you that there's an issue, and it will tell you where to go to fix it. The eyeball looking symbol, if you click on that, it lets you view your list. Right now, this is my list. And this is the printable version. You can see the printer icon there. The share button is right there. So once I actually have a list built, I can go to that and I can see what's in my list. Now, one of the things it said was that I did not have selections for game size. So I'm going to click up here in configuration is where I change that. I'm going to hit the plus sign. It's going to bring up the things that I can impact. The two things highlighted are the things already selected. I'm going to click on battle size because that's one of the things we need to fix. The rest of this isn't really relevant to what we're doing. So I've selected battle size and I hit the check mark. So now that's loaded here. And it says 3 command points, and it says already that I'm in a combat patrol, 0 to 500 point power level, or points level, excuse me. If you tap on it, it brings you to the options here, and you tap on the little button on the right side, and it lets you see the various options of battle sizes. So you can play combat patrol, which is up to 500 points. An incursion mission is up to 1,000. Strike Force up to 2,000, Onslaught and bigger, they're up to 3,000 plus points, okay? We're gonna stick with Combat Patrol. This is telling me that I have 3 command points to spend for this Combat Patrol that I'm gonna build. Next up, Brotherhood. For the Grey Knights, you have to select it. So I'm gonna tap on this, and it's gonna bring me up with a little box right there, or a little circle, and then it opens up the various Brotherhoods that we have to choose from. I'm going to make this with sword bearers because I'm more familiar with them than I am with some of the other Brotherhoods. Still learning through the book, haven't played a ton of games yet. So there we go. I've set my Brotherhoods, set my battle size. Now I'm ready to select stratagems. If there's a pregame stratagem that you can employ, for this we could add from the Armory of Titan. That just means that we're going to add an extra relic. Your Warlord gets a relic for free. But if you wanted to pay command points to unlock extra relics, you would do that under stratagems there. Agents of the Imperium is a way that you can soup. We're not going to get into that. Souping is mixing Grey Knights with Imperial Guard, or Grey Knights with Blood Angels, or Grey Knights with anything that's not Grey Knights, basically, as long as it's also Imperium. There's Agents of the Imperium that don't break your Battleforge army, as I've discussed when I looked at the Codex, but we're not going to play around with that yet. So if you remember, with a patrol, you must have an HQ choice. We're going to build this assuming that you are using a Hexfire box, in which case you would have the options of making Crow into a character or using a Grandmaster Nemesis Dread Knight armor as a character. And for the sake of points, we'll do Crow as your Warlord or as a commander choice. And we'll see if we can squeeze in the Dread Knight, but I don't think he's going to fit as a character because they get a little pricier with certain upgrades. So I'm going to click on the check mark. These are my characters. I have to pick one to be my Warlord. If I choose Castellan Crow, then make him the Warlord here, then I have to use the Warlord trait that is given to him. You don't get a choice. He has Hammer of Righteousness. Not a horrible Warlord trait, but I don't have the flexibility of selecting a different one. So I'm going to uncheck and uncheck that. Then Crow is here in the list. The only option that I have to really play with here, because he's one of the named characters that is just got a standard loadout. Well, I say standard. He has the Black Blade of Antwer, which is a possessed blade. Cool in the lore. Got some kind of fun rules for it in the game too. I am going to have to choose a Dominus Discipline, so his psychic power. And we would like for him to be a little speedier around the table. So I'm going to have him take Gate of Infinity, which would allow him to jump himself around the table with a psychic spell. Now I'm going to tap on the Grandmaster Dread Knight. You'll see there's lots of things you can choose from. We're going to load him up all the way, and you'll see that he can get fairly expensive. We're going to make him the Warlord, or we'll try. Now I have, because he's a Warlord, the option to give him a relic. Now remember, you get 1 relic for free. The Sigil of Exigence is nifty because if you target the Grandmaster Dread Knight, then he just gets to teleport away. Kind of fun. His main hand, Dread Fist, is going to always be a Dread Fist. So if you click on that as an option, you won't be able to change it. But his offhand, you can give him a melee weapon. My particular Dread Knight's built with a great sword, so I'll give him that. Cost 15 points to add that, 10 points to add this teleporter, and I don't think you need it in a small combat patrol, so I'm going to take it off. The reason I say that is the board is smaller, the Dread Knight's big enough and moves enough that he can get around where he needs to, and if somebody targets him to shoot him while he has that relic once per game, he can move with it. He is going to know 2 powers, so we will give him Sanctuary is good for protecting other little people. And let's use Vortex of Doom just for the fun because it's an offensive power that he can take. Now, because this guy's not a named character, you'll see that I've got options for selecting Warlord traits. We are going to go with Unyielding Anvil. I will trust that as you are watching these, you have your own codexes. You can read through the different ones. You can also view them within BattleScribe to see what they are, but you have to do that. It's kind of an awkward way to do it. I could spend one of my command points of the 3 that I have to give him a second Warlord trait, but then I would be starting with very few command points. So we're going to pass on that for now. My Dread Knight has a silencer, the Gatling silencer, and a heavy side cannon. So I'm selecting those options. And here's where, with him being a character, I could select to pay points to purchase one of these additional upgrade items for him. We're not going to do that today. But even as it is, we'll scroll back up to the top. You'll see that his cost in points just to bring this model is 205 points. And if we go back over here, you can see the Castellan Crow, sorry about the glare, I'm trying to dodge it, is only 90 points. So there's a big difference in the price. There's also a big difference in what these 2 different units can do. Now, to make my list happy, because I still have the red exclamation point, I'm required to bring at least 1 troop option. So the nice thing with BattleScribe is the troops, when you click on it, it's going to show all of them that are available. So I have the Terminator squads, or I have a Strike squad. And because I'm doing the combat patrol box, it only comes with Strike squads. So I'll click 1 squad of 5 Strike Marines. So they're here now. And now my little indicator that something's wrong has gone away. I have the bare bones minimum of what I need for a 500 point game. I'm actually using 2 characters and 1 single troop. Clicking on the troops, you can see up here at the very top is my Justicar. I can click on his name or who he is there. I can select his Nemesis Force weapon and I can change it for any one of these. The falchions, halberds, and staves are the same cost, so there's no change in his price of points. If I give him a hammer, I have to add 10 points to that. And of course, the app will add it for you on its own. Right now, he's a 22 point model in his unit. Now here, if I wanted to remove guys with a sword, you have a little toggle. You can toggle up, you can toggle down. And then I now will have a warning showing up because my squad has gone from 1 sergeant and 2 Grey Knights, but you have to have a minimum of 5. So it's telling me I need to add more. That's what this would say if I clicked on it. So I'm going to add 2 guys with a halberd. So you click on the little toggle there where you can go up and down, and I'm going to go back and add 2. And now my little warning has disappeared because I have a unit full of 4 Grey Knights and 1 Justicar, which equals 5. And the Justicar is just a fancy name for the sergeant. If you wanted to add a special weapon, you have to have at least 4 in your squad, and then 1 guy could replace his weapon with a special weapon. So I misclicked there. So I could click over here on the toggle and I could get rid of one of the guys with a sword, because to take a special weapon, you have to get rid of your melee weapon and your sword bolter. And then I could add in a guy with a silencer just by clicking 1. And then that meets all the requirements. So once again, I have a squad of 4 plus the sergeant or Justicar. And that's it. So your loadouts are selected. You know who's carrying which weapons. We'll keep this as cheap as we can for now. So 2 guys with swords, 2 guys with halberds. If I could click on the buttons, and that's my squad there. So I go back to here and I'm looking up at the top of my screen and it's showing me that I still have 405 points. That is an unfortunate number. The reason that's unfortunate is a squad of Strike Marines by themselves is 110 points. I could also build, and for the purposes of combat patrol, I would recommend it, could build an interceptor squad. I select them there because it comes with 10 standard Marine bodies. You can make 5 of them interceptors and 5 of them strike squads. That's how I would build the box if I had it. These guys are much faster. And that's really their main benefit. They still get their psychic powers, the same weapons loadouts, but they can move 12 inches at a time. And then once per game with a command point stratagem, you can teleport them at will across the board. They come out to 120 points because of their extra movement, which means that my total list is now sitting at 525 points, and that's 25 points too expensive. So how do I fix it? Well, the only guy that I know is costing me more than what is necessary is the Grandmaster Nemesis Dread Knight armor. So I can click back on him, I can look and see what have I given him that cost me points. Well, his great sword, but my guy is modeled with it and he's glued on, so I can't really take that off. If I had magnetized it and known what I was doing when I started, I could deselect that and he would just have his 2 fists, and now I'm only 10 points over the list maximum number of points, I guess you could say, and I could scroll down and I could get rid of one of his weapons for his ranged weapons. So that's not really gonna work as far as how I want this to look. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna drop him as a character choice, and I'm gonna load him back as a heavy support, and I'll lose the Grandmaster keyword, but I'll still be able to bring a Nemesis Dread Knight. So I click on the 3 dots here to the right. I can view his data sheet, which is kind of nice. This is a quick way to reference. It shows what Warlord trait I gave him, his specific spells. This spell I did not select earlier because this is the Brotherhood specific spell that he can know. You can only use it with Swordbearer's vehicles. He is a vehicle keyword. And so it's specific to them because he is a sword bearer. And I can scroll down, I can see all special abilities, keywords. Basically, you can see what everything does. You can also change the settings here with this little settings button. So I'm right now seeing full details, all the costs, all the categories, all the profiles. You can change these to make them hide information. So if you're trying to make a printer-friendly version, click on the settings and you can get rid of and hide all these other extra words that you don't need to see and just have the relevant information about his movements, right? You have his data sheet summarized here, his weapon profiles. So that's how that works. Anywho, that is there. We are trying to remove him as a character. So I click the 3 dots down at the bottom. I click remove. So he disappears. Now this is angry again because now Crow has to become my Warlord. So I select that, and then you have to select his Warlord trait. So he has this one, and I go back here. Now my list is happy, but I'm 320 points shy, or light, or whatever word you want to use. So I'm going to go down here. If you click on your heavy support, this is where a regular Nemesis Dread Knight lives. So here he is. There's Land Raiders, which are fun models. Purgation Squad is a troop model that you can also build from the box, or troops instead of interceptors or strike marines. They're a heavy weapons squad, but I don't know if the box comes with enough of the heavy weapons to kit out a full Purgation Squad. In the past editions, you had to buy multiple boxes to get enough heavy weapons to make that Purgation Squad. So I've selected my Nemesis Dread Knight. Just adding him back in brings me to 410 points. Or excuse me, 440 points. I can read well, can't I? Now we're going to load him out. He is part of the Brotherhood. This Brotherhood, again, is the Sword Bearers, so he will have that ability to cast that power, I do believe. I'll have to double check. I'm going to see points-wise, we'll just load him up. So we change his offhand fist to the Great Sword. Again, making him look like the one that I have. The silencer and the heavy psi cannon that I can't seem to tap on. And look at that. Now I'm sitting at 505 points. Cool. I will get rid of the teleporter. Again, I don't think that's necessary. So I'm now down to 495 points. So now this Dread Knight is rocking around as a heavy support piece. I'm going to view this just to make sure. I believe he can cast a spell, but I want to double check. Yeah, he still has the ability to know one spell, so he can cast one, he can try to deny one because he's a Grey Knight, and they all do that. And he still knows the Brotherhood specific to Swordbearer's spell, along with Hammerhand. Hammerhand is a fun one that's built into the Strike Marines, the Terminators, and the Dread Knights, and it lets them re-roll all the wounds during a fight in the close combat phase. Very nice, very nifty. You'll see the stat lines here, his data sheet. Notice the difference between him and the Dread Knight Grandmaster version is their weapon skill and ballistic skill starts at 3+ instead of 2+. The save is the same, leadership's a little less, and fewer attacks. So it's still a pretty decent platform. It's good stuff to have in your list. And that is it. So we have 5 points left that we could spend somewhere. And at this point, you start doing things just to kind of make your list match what you have or to try to maximize your points. You can change units in here. We could add in a Psy Cannon instead of just having guys with a sword, because the Psy Cannon costs 5 points more than a regular guy. And so if I add a Psy Cannon into my squad of interceptors, all of a sudden my list is exactly 500 points. You don't have to do that. There's nothing wrong with just playing with your 5 points less than your opponent. That's just a personal choice. And most people, because it's part of the game, I guess, will try to always have the exact number of points. But this right here is a 500 point list. It's a standard load from what you would get from the Hexfire box for the Grey Knights. And I think it would work pretty well. So what we'll do is we'll make sure I've got these models, and I will come back and I will play a short game using these guys against my Drukhari, and that'll be for another video. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Hope this is useful. I struggled with BattleScribe for a little while, fumbling, trying to do it via text message with my family and friends who were playing until I finally figured it out. So I thought this might help some folks out. Hopefully it does. Catch you on the next one.